we're going to get started with the expectations for today. So what we're talking about today is about finding buyers. How do you find buyers to work with? When you find them, then what do? How do you qualify them and make sure that they're, somebody that you want to spend your time with, educating them, setting their expectations so that you have a great transaction with your buyers, learning and practicing your buyer consultation. And I don't know if any of you are in the coaching group, but I did with Arlene's coaching group a month or so ago. We did just where she and I sat down and we role played a buyer consultation for the coaching group. We'll probably do that again at some time. So this is about learning and practicing your buyer consultation, getting buyer agreements signed, and just establishing what the next steps are. So I know you have your mission, your kind of your mission that you were to complete prior to today. Did everybody get to work on that? Of the, like the...
I got the first one. This is the one that I got to print out.
Okay. Okay.
The other one wasn't available.
Okay. There's a couple of different buyer consultations. I know there's one in your tools on the kw.com. I think there's maybe it's not Scott Roy. Maybe it's the Michael Lewis Marketing Suite. There's one there. And I kind of use my old one that I've had forever. I don't like change. And nothing's really changed in it, and I use that all the time. But tell me about your successes and what you've been doing, because your last day of class was Friday, so you had the rest of the day Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Did anybody do an open house over the weekend?
Yeah, I did.
You did? Tell us about your open house.
Okay. There were 3 or 4 other open houses in that same neighborhood. I had about just 2 couples come through, which was fine because I have an appointment with one couple on Saturday and then another appointment next Tuesday with the second couple. They're both renting month to month, so they're not working with a realtor. And that was an opportunity for me to pick up the client. So I thought I would have a bigger turnout, but it was a nice experience.
So you got appointments with both?
With both couples.
Well,
that showed up.
High five. That's awesome. Because when you said that there were other open houses going on, I'm like, oh, well, that means, there's other realtors out there trying to get them in too. You succeeded. That's a big high five. That's great. And, I tell you, a lot of times you get, some fallout, because always confirm your appointments before, because people will no-show on you. But if you stay with them, you'll eventually get them, and, that's excellent. So open houses do work. They do work. You can meet people. It's a great opportunity. You may not have listings yet, but there are probably agents in the office who do and who would like to have those held open. So open houses are a wonderful opportunity, and you're a great example. Anybody else? Are you still making your calls and doing your notes and things, doing that some on the weekends? Any other successes you guys can talk about from Friday?
We're on a showing, and they're going to put an offer today on the property.
Awesome. Good deal. So how did you get that client? Is that somebody from your sphere?
It's my parents, and they're kind of investors, so they're just looking for an investment
Well, that's
property.
great.
And I came across it. They've been on the market like 2 days. I said, let's go, because we've been in a couple years now doing that, and I know with an investment property, there's multiple investors out there looking for the same property. So it's one of those things you have to jump while it's still on the market.
You do. That's great.
I read a contract on the short sale.
Okay.
For my son. We've been helping him.
Okay. All right. Great. Well, that's working your sphere. The people that you know, and those are the best clients. The people that you know, and referrals from the people that you know. So with a short sale, I'd say be sure and get some help from your bigs and your sponsor. Yeah, because short sales can be They can be different. Well, they're different. They're different.
Yeah, I've
And-
already submitted it to the agent. I think it didn't hear it.
Okay, great. That's good. Did y'all get a chance to watch the video, the Nikki Baldini? It was like a 5-minute video. It was the buyer consultation. Did you get a chance? That's a really good video. So if you didn't watch it, go back and watch it. Did you get any ahas from that? Or I tell you, my big aha on that one is I think it's the very last thing she says, and that's about script practice. And she said, if you're not script practicing, then who are you practicing on? You're practicing on your clients. She says, and that can be expensive because you can lose a client if you're not prepared. So, are you guys doing script practice? You are. Okay, we're good. We'll have some opportunities to do that today too, because that's part of the class. That's a big part of the class. So your 10-4-4, are you doing good with this? You're contacting 10 people a day, adding 10 people to your database, to your e-edge, sending 10 notes, previewing homes. How are you doing with that? Are y'all pretty consistent with that? That's really important. And I think the previewing homes is really good too, because if you're at that point where you're not doing a lot of showings yet, that's going to get you familiar with the market. And one thing you can tell buyers in your buyer consultations is that, you're out in the market every day. You're looking at houses, you're showing, you're previewing, and that gives you market knowledge. And that's why they want to work with you, because you have market knowledge and you're smart and you know what's going on. So we're going to do some of our lead generating. I've got gifts. I've got some note cards. Does anybody need note cards? I've got some note cards. Okay. So we're going to, and you guys are doing this in your classes, right? You're taking 20 minutes to lead generate. Well, I'll pass around some note cards. I've also got these cute little stickers. It says, oh, by the way, I'm never too busy for your referrals. So you can take some stickers and you can write some notes. So, sorry, if you pass them around. If you need some notes, take some notes. Write some notes, but that's just say for the next 20 minutes, that's what we'll do. We're going to make calls, and you can follow up with some of your calls. Writing notes, that's just working in your daily 10-4. And that doesn't mean this is the only time you do it, but it's just important for us to set aside some time in class to do that. I'm also going to pass out, I usually have some extra information I like to give everybody. We may not talk about all this in class, because I'm going to try to stick mostly to the material that you already have, because that's what I'm told to do. Follow my directions. I'm going to need one more. I'll get one more from Kayla. So, 2 more. Okay, so for the next 20 minutes, that's what we're going to do your phone calls. And use this time wisely. Don't use it for other things. Use it to contact people in your database. Follow up on referrals, like when you're doing an open house. If you've done an open house, it's time to follow up on that. So everybody go through your database and do that for the next 20 minutes. And I'm going to get some more materials. Just 1 minute.
Saturday. She says she doesn't have the credit.
Your success. Okay. All right. So, working with buyers. Why would you even want to work with buyers? If you've been to any of the classes about listings, you know, what they tell you in real estate is you got to have listings. You got to have listings to live. You got to have listings. Because if you don't have listings, you're not in business as a realtor. So why would you even want to work with buyers? Any opinions on that?
They become listings eventually.
Absolutely. You're establishing a client there who may be a future listing. And for an agent starting out, buyers can be a much quicker and easier process maybe than a listing, because you do have to spend some money usually with a listing. You got to buy signs to put in the yard. You've got to be out there marketing, and it's kind of like you're putting it out there, and you're sort of, in some cases, waiting for somebody to respond, to your marketing. But with buyers can usually be a pretty quick sale and a pretty quick commission, because if you've got, like your A, B, and C buyers, an A buyer, somebody who wants to buy within the next, say, 30 to 60 days, you find them a house. They're pre-approved. They're going to buy a house and you're going to close. So it's usually, less of an investment on your part. With buyers, it's probably more of your time. And maybe as a new agent, maybe you've got more time. And I know for me as a new agent, I had more time than money to invest in things. And, at Keller Williams, it's always, you want to, use your money wisely and lead with revenue and not be out there throwing a lot of money out in marketing to begin with, but do the things that are going to get you business with your minimum of investment. So buyers are great in that respect. And I would say a lot of times with buyers too, if you're getting somebody like a first-time home buyer, a lot of times they know other people that are like them, young families, young people just married, starting out. A lot of times their group, their friends, their sphere of influence is going to be some similar people too that can help you to, meet some other people that you might be able to work with as well. So qualifying and scheduling your buyers. Where do you find buyers? What?
Lead generation.
Absolutely. So finding buyers, NAR statistics, 88% of buyers purchase their home through an agent. That's a pretty high statistic. So that gives you a good opportunity to actually work with the buyer when you meet somebody.
You said 87?
88?
88.
88%. Mm-hmm. And 40% found their agent through a referral. They are the best clients. It's always good to get people from your internet lead generation or just meeting somebody at open house. But if you get a referral, there's already a level of trust established there. This is, we have a mutual friend or whatever, or they worked with me on another transaction, so they can recommend you. They're the best business. They really are. And 9% found an agent visiting an open house. So open houses are good. So do y'all have any ideas on how to find buyers? Do you have anything from what you've done so far?
I've been using vendors more so, like mortgage reps.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm getting most of my leads from.
Okay. All right. That's great. Using your vendors. That's awesome. Because that's kind of a win-win, because you're going to refer them. So you should get some referrals from them as well. Of course, open houses. Getting people to download your app. Are you using your Keller Williams app? So that's always a great thing to give people and say, here's my app. It's free. You're out in the neighborhood. Your neighbor's house goes up for sale. You want to know what it's for sale for? Your app's going to pull up everything that's close to you. So that's a great tool. And people, they download apps all the time. So that's a great tool. Targeting renters. I have never really done a lot of that. Has anybody thought about that, targeting renters? I think you'd probably have to have a relationship with a property manager, because I wouldn't think it'd be easy just to walk in there and do something. But I would love some ideas on that about, how to work maybe with a property manager or somebody where I'm sure it would involve giving something to get something. But, if you could do something like that with an apartment complex, I think that would be a great thing to do. It's something to explore, if you're looking for ideas. Newlyweds, Earl Clark, she sets up a booth at wedding shows and works wedding shows and meets people getting married. I think that's an awesome thing to do. When Gary Keller started his business, he went to, I think, like on your register of deeds, people that are getting marriage licenses. And, back in the day, I don't know if they still do it because the newspaper is becoming kind of obsolete, but you used to see the pictures of the brides every Sunday from everybody who got married on Saturday. So, but it will always be in your records and like register of deeds. So that's an opportunity there. New parents, again, birth certificates, referrals from other agents. Now, I don't know about, if you've got family, friends in different areas of the country. Like my son lives in Knoxville, Tennessee. His family's there. And I do, I tell them, and I tell him especially, and his wife, I said, there's something in it for you if you will send me a referral. Because, they're a young family. I said, people buying and selling houses up there. They just did it themselves. And I've got a good referral agent in Knoxville that I refer people to her. And, my daughter-in-law's grandmother's house was sold. They sold their house. They bought a house. And I've used that same realtor. And I said, Karen's great. So if you come across somebody, because it's my son, I'm giving them incentives. But, tell your friends, do you want your friends and family just going out there and finding any agent? How do you know they're a good agent? That might be somebody that's just in it, to make a car payment and go on. You want somebody who's going to take good care of them and who's going to be a great agent for them. And I can provide that. Keller Williams is the largest company. We have the most agents of any company in the United States. I've got people everywhere. I can hook you up with a great agent no matter where you are. So if you've got people in different places, that is a great source. And that's mailbox money. That's something you do nothing for. It just shows up in your account.
My neighbor yesterday, and gave him my app, and he said he has a house in Lumberton, and that's not a good area. It's been on the market 2 years, and he can't sell it. So I need to find somebody that can help him.
You can. And even if it's an area where there's not Keller Williams, because I had a client, and she inherited a home in Stewart, Virginia, and there was just not a Keller Williams agent. So I just do some online research. I go and look and see, and I call some agents, and I sort of interview them over the phone. But it's worthwhile to do that, to hook your friends up with a good realtor somewhere. And that could be a relationship you establish with that agent. So if they ever have anybody moving in our area, you can help them too. So those are really important. And if you ever go to any kind of events, Keller Williams events, make friends with agents in different areas. And if you're on vacation somewhere, you should go visit a Keller Williams office if there's one in that city. Maybe you could even use that for some write-off on your taxes, that it was sort of a business trip, because I visited the Keller Williams office in Knoxville, and I passed out my cards, and I left a little flyer with, the agents to tell them that, I'm their contact person in the triad. So that's a great thing to do, just to establish that, exchange with some referral agents.
Is there a way to, how do you search for an agent in a different area, or in a different state?
Well, if you're looking for Keller Williams, it's the white pages. It's on the kw.com. Down there on the lower right-hand corner, where you go to the intranet. It's called White Pages, but you probably could just search
in the city
White Pages, and it'll let you search. You can search by agent's name, you can search by market center, or by the city that they serve. So that's a great way to find some buyers. Social media, I know there was a house near me, it's kind of in my neighborhood, and I thought it looked like a great deal. And it was not my listing. It wasn't even a Keller Williams listing, but I put it on my Facebook page and said, hey, this just came on the market. It's, priced right. It's got 3 acres with it. Is anybody interested in it? It's not my listing. I always put that in there. It's not my listing, but I can show it to you. And, I saw a friend of mine tag somebody. So I'm calling Amy saying, who's your friend Tiffany? Apparently she's looking for a house because you tagged her on my post there. And she said, oh, yeah, they're just getting started. I'm like, well, hello. Why didn't you call me? So, I ended up selling Tiffany and her husband a house because I just put that on Facebook. So that's good to use your social media. And I am not the best person on social media. And I will even have a success once in a while. So you guys are probably much better at that than me. Your neighborhood, wherever you live, you should be working your own neighborhood for sure. And I might not be comfortable door knocking in a lot of neighborhoods, but I could do it in my own neighborhood. Small as it is, I could still do that in my neighborhood. The groups you're involved with, you may be involved in, a church, religious organization, civic organization. When I first got in real estate, the church I was going to, we were starting a new building program, and we had just completed a new sanctuary and everything. I took a picture of the church and put it on a calendar, just a little calendar you could stick on your refrigerator. And we had a church directory. There's nothing wrong with that. I just mailed it. I mailed it to everybody. And I got a lot of business from that because I knew a lot of people, but there were a lot of people I didn't know, and probably a lot of people maybe that didn't know that I was in real estate. And we actually even had a business directory at that church. So, that was something that, they might have thrown away a picture of me, but they weren't going to throw away a picture of the new sanctuary of the church, So if you can think about things like that, or if, your kids are on a team and there's a team picture or something, and you could send out a little calendar or postcard or something with, their sports team picture or anything like that, that would, I know Melissa that we work with, she said, I'm having some pencils made, just personalized, and she said, I'm putting on there Cohen's mom because they don't know who I am. Melissa Lockley or Cohen's mom, and her information, because kids need pencils all the time in school. And she said, I'm putting that out there, and that way maybe I'll get some business from Cohen's class, and I'm sure she shows up, at events with her name tag on and that kind of thing. So those are good ways, I think, to find buyers. Y'all have any other suggestions on that? I'm always looking for good suggestions on how to meet people. And, open houses. We just had a great success story on the open house. It is a good practice. You get market knowledge. So not everybody was in here when you told your story, but you got 2 buyer consultations, buyer appointments from open house. Anybody else had any?
That showed up. It was just 2 couples that showed up.
That's 100% though. That's 100%. That's awesome.
Yeah, awesome. One showed up at the last minute as I was leaving. The other one showed up exactly at 2 o'clock. So
anybody else have any success stories from open house? Which it's probably rare to sell a house from open house, but it does happen, and it's a good way to meet people. But you got to follow up. That's the key on that, is that you gotta follow up with the people that you meet. Once you meet them, don't drop them, because somebody else is talking to them if you're not. But and it's all it's about being out there. Did you guys go to the open house class? I know Bob Merritt had one. I got to go to his open house class because everybody talks about how great his open house class is, and you got to always be learning in real estate. You never get to that point where you know everything. You've got to always be learning and always be taking advantage of all the great opportunities that we have to educate ourselves. So, okay, we got a video to watch. This is Find the Motivated. So
Pollack, and I'd like to share tips on how to find the motivated. What do I mean by find the motivated? Turning a warm lead into a closed client. The first tip is when you find someone, you want to ask for the business. Let's say you're at a party and your friend is pregnant. You can always say, hey, it looks like you need a bigger house. Or you're out and about and you see this big, beautiful diamond ring and not the full wedding ring. You can say, hey, it looks like you just got engaged. Congratulations. When are you buying your next house? And I always ask, when are you ready to buy? When are you looking to move into your new house? What are those underlying tips of motivation that will tip you off to having a client that's ready to do business now versus a year from now? Tip number 2, ask for the appointment. Have a calendar or your smartphone ready to say, I have availability tomorrow at 2 or the next day at 4. Which one would work for you? Book the appointment when you meet someone who's ready to do business. Tip number 3, so now you've got the appointment, you want to pre-qualify that appointment by using scripts. Ask questions such as, have you met with the lender that I referred you to the other day? To make sure that they have their price range in mind when they're meeting with you to buy a home, and that you know they're able to sell a home or that they're motivated by a desire to have another outcome, like maybe they're relocating or they're downsizing their home. There has to be some motivation level to continue forward with the appointment. Tip number 4, use embedded commands. When you get in front of the people face-to-face at your appointment, you want to be talking embedded command language, such as, when you're comfortable and confident that I can sell your home, then we'll sign the contract tonight. If you're using that language throughout your hour or half an hour appointment, they'll be more comfortable when they get to the end, and they'll sign that contract, and then you can move forward. The last step is you sign them up, and now it's your goal to get a referral. When you're in conversation with them, on the phone, in the car, at the closing, use questions. Who else do you know that's looking to buy a home, sell a house, or invest in real estate that I can call today? If you keep saying this throughout the process, you'll find yourself turning more of your current clients into referral business that will generate lots of easy sales for you. So go out there and find the motivated and have a great day.
I'm motivated. Okay. What are your ahas from her little video?
Never heard of an embedded command. So that was interesting.
Yeah, there's a whole course with Keller Williams called The Language of Sales that's about the embedded command. It's just sort of the way you say things, saying it not as a question, but more as a, a command, but a nice one. But that's a great, just MAPS course, The Language of Sales. So ask for the business, always ask for the business. And how soon is a good question. Not, when are you gonna be looking for a house, but how soon. Ask for the appointment, and what she does is give choices, not just saying when, but I have availability this time or this time. So always having your calendar handy on your phone. Pre-qualify the appointment, use scripts. So, that's the importance of learning your scripts, to pre-qualify and see, are they a A, B, or C buyer? Use the embedded commands, and always ask for a referral, again, because people who are looking for houses usually know other people that are looking for houses. So those are all good things to remember. Now, the next thing you had that was part of your homework is the market research and statistics. Did any of you do any statistics, market research on like days on market, list price to sale price, anything like that? Well, I tell you, usually in the buyer consultation, that's not something I'm going to spend a lot of time on. I did pull up some stuff on Matrix because I think I don't really focus on defining the market at that point. I think when you get more specifically into where they want to live, because sometimes just statistics in general for the whole triad maybe are not that helpful, But, you know, if they're looking in a certain neighborhood, like I pulled up some statistics for Abington. I pulled up things with homes with 4 bedrooms, over 200,000 that have sold in the last 6 months. You know, that's a little more specific. And I think that's more meaningful, it is to me, than looking at the whole triad, because that's going to be condos, townhomes, single family, everything. So I think being a little more specific in your market statistics is good. Tell us what you did. What did you look for in your market statistics?
This was for Randolph County, which, because I'm in Asheboro, but it was, so I just looked for, and I was trying to remember how I got to this information. I think it was stats, but it was like, Wayne showed me how to do it, but I can't remember. But basically, I looked for average days on market, which was 67 days. And then there was median days of 17 days. So I don't know how you determine the difference between those two numbers. But
Okay.
We're not. I'm sorry, we don't mean to. I'm just showing her around. I just want her to observe the training.
All right. Okay. Well, like I said, I just took a small, sort of a little market snapshot of Abington there, because it's very important for you to go to the MLS classes, because you'll learn a lot about how to use the information on here. But something like if I'm looking, say we're going to make an offer on a home, and it's, you know, this is what I'm looking for, a 4-bedroom in Abington, over 200. What have they sold for, like, in the last 6 months? Well, what you can do here is I've checked them all off on the side, and I go over here, and usually what I do is use this quick CMA, because it's going to give you just some quick information here on, you can see down here at the bottom, it's giving you some averages, your average square footage, bedrooms, bathrooms, and it's giving you the average sale price and list price. And you come down here to see the quick stats, list minimum, maximum, list price, sale price, average, and median. So
determine the median, just curious.
It's like the middle, right? In that.
It's just the middle point. Okay, so it's not an average. It's just
right. I just use the average. I don't really use the median. I use the average. Because list to sale price, list price per square foot, close price per square foot, days on market. That's some good information that you can have to share with your buyers there. And if I took that, you know, the list to sale price ratio, it came up at like 99%. So you can see that that helps prepare them. You know, you're probably going to have to come in pretty close to full price if you're going to buy a house in Abington. But, you know, you can use those statistics like that. But I think going to that class, the MLS class on statistics, that is very, very valuable. Have any of y'all been to that class? It's a good class, isn't it? And just say, well, let's go back here. Let's go back and say I'm going to look at one house. Like we'll just take Glen Ridge Drive. I don't think I've looked at that one. But looking at statistics on their local information, you know, you've got, and this is a whole class in the MLS, so I'm not spending a lot of time on that. You can look at the tax record here, and once you get the tax record, you can launch Real List. Have y'all used that? So if people are asking you for information, like information about the house, about the neighborhood, that's a good place to go to get neighborhood information, because schools, you know, we just can't answer questions about schools specifically. But if you go on the MLS, you might be able to get some information there. Go on. See, you can look at comps here. The market, this is kind of slow, but neighborhood profile, that's going to tell them some things about, it'll give demographics.
And you can share that with them?
Yeah, it's public information. Yeah. See, that tells you about, you know, about the population, housing, All kinds of information there. Household income.
How did you get to that? That was from Matrix. You just went to, was that under
The tax record.
tab? Under the tax tab?
I went under tax
Oh, okay.
and then to real list.
Okay.
And there's another one on here too, this right here, the RPR. Uh-oh. What's my email that they use? I'm not sure about my password. Because, you know, it remembers it on my computer, so I don't have to. But you can basically do the same thing. See, pulls it up. You can go to neighborhood. And you can create a report. And you can email that report. So that's pretty cool. Sales price. All kinds of stuff there for you to share with somebody who wants to know about the neighborhood. Because there's just a lot of things we can't say. Yeah. And I would always say, you know, one good thing, if you want to know, like just say, they say, well, I don't want to live in a neighborhood that has a bunch of kids. I hate children. You know, I can't really address that. I would say, why don't you go drive through when the school bus lets off, or, you know, about that time of day. Go about 2:30, 3 o'clock and see if there are a lot of kids in the neighborhood. Drive by the pool at Abington and see if there's a bunch of kids there. There are. You know, so there's just so much we can say about that. And I would say drive through at different
And
times.
you can say, I can send you some information.
Sure.
For you to look at it.
Yeah.
Help you. That might help.
I'd say go
That's
knock
not
on the
same as
neighbor's door.
telling them. It's just
Right.
like we can provide them with information.
Right. And if they're looking at a house and they want to go knock on the neighbor's door and ask them about the neighborhood, there's nothing to stop them from doing that, you know. And I've had people do that. So in schools, again, there is no substitute for visiting a school. If school is important to you, wouldn't you want to visit a school that your child is going to attend? So the Winston-Salem Forsyth County School Board website, Guilford County, those are great websites. ncreportcards.org, greatschools.org. Those are good websites, because when people say, is it a good school? I really can't answer that. I don't know what a good school is to you. Is a good school high academics? Is it sports? Is it, you know, extracurricular activities? Is it arts? I don't really know what good school means to you. So that's really the kind of research somebody needs to do for themselves. I really can't address a lot of that. And you know, there's a lot of school choice that goes on too, like here in Forsyth County. Once they get to the high school level, they may go to, you know, they may be able to go to early college at Forsyth Tech. So there's lots of options and ability for kids to transfer between schools. So that's just something that they can research on their own. And they'll probably be happy to do that. Yes, I would if it was, you know, for my child. I'd want to be the one who gets that information for myself. So I've given y'all some little supplemental things that you can take with you. There's some things here about things buyers like best about working with their realtor. They like a realtor that has good negotiating skills because they want to know that it's somebody that can work hard on their behalf to help get the best price and the best terms for them. They like the personality. These are all NAR statistics. They like the personality, persistence, somebody who doesn't give up and is going to work hard to find them the right house. They made it easier, saved us time. That's a big one. And that's a big reason to get people in for the buyer consultation, is because we can save them time. They listened. And that's a big part of your buyer consultation too, is letting them talk. Listen and take notes of what they're saying. Followed up, but didn't sound like a telemarketer. Really sounded like they cared. Went the extra mile. Put together a buyer packet for us. That's something we do for every client. Treated us with respect. Told us the truth. And worked with a smile, even on weekends. Oh. And what's most important to the customer in choosing a realtor, the number one thing is trust. They need to have somebody they can trust. And that's a big thing about referrals. That's why referrals are great, because you get that level of trust. They worked in my best interest, their knowledge, financing, communication, very important, committed, customer service, professionalism, and last on the list is business success. So really, you know, if you might advertise that you've got all these, you know, initials behind your name. I have a GRI, I have an ABR, I have a CRS, all those different classes you can go to. That's probably not as important as having somebody they can trust. And they don't usually even know what those things mean anyway. Some truths about buyers. You know, you are a very valuable resource for buyers because you can do a lot of things for buyers. And that is part of your buyer consultation and your, when you're talking to them on the phone, trying to get them in for a buyer consultation. It's establishing your value. And, you know, especially a first-time home buyer, they have no idea what to expect, usually. So you're going to educate them on the home buying process and how to make an offer. Educate them a little bit about current market conditions. And, you know, what's very important to them is having a great team around them for the whole process. And that's not just you. It's you helping connect them with a great lender, maybe with a great home inspector, an attorney who's going to do the closing for them. You know, all the people that they're going to need in the process all along the way, and maybe even after closing. Because you can be a good resource for people that they're going to need for home services once they're a homeowner. And advise them about local real estate values, things about taxes, utilities, municipal services, zoning. You know, we've got a great class at the end of the month. Somebody from the DOT is going to be here. Isn't that important information that you need to have that you can share? If you're showing a house, to know if a highway's coming through or maybe a highway's going to be rerouted. Because when I first started in real estate 20 years ago, it was all about the Beltway, the Northern Beltway here in Forsyth County. And, you know, it was just a drawing on a piece of paper then. And now there's bridges, there's highways coming through where you can see it. It's easy when you can see it. But when you've got to tell somebody that, you know, oh, well, there's a project slated for, you know, between 2020 and 2025 that's going to be, you know, possibly 200 yards from this house, that's hard for them to understand and visualize. It's a whole lot easier once it's there. So those are things you've got to, that they're going to count on you for. And that's a little intimidating sometimes, that I've got to have all this knowledge because they're dependent on me. So again, that's why it's important to come to things like team meetings and these classes that we offer, because that just makes you a better agent so that you can feel confident when you're helping your buyers. And one big thing is keeping them on track, because there's a lot of dates to meet during the process, right? You got a due diligence date, got to make sure you have all your inspections done before that so you can do your repair request and present it and get it worked out before due diligence. You've got things with your lender, you've got to get that appraisal done. So you're keeping them on track. Negotiating. You come in very important on the negotiating. But really, you're going to save them time and save them money. And I don't know, I think there's another class, maybe you've already done it, where you do the unique value proposition, but I did put a couple things in your packet about the unique value proposition. It's like just sort of a sentence or two that you can tell a buyer what you do for them and what your value is. And that's something you can come up on your own. You can kind of look at some of these and, you know, figure out one from that. But those are important. And, you know, you hear people say all the time that buyers are liars. Have y'all ever heard that? The buyers are liars. They can be. But I think you can minimize that by really doing a good buyer consultation, by getting them in and asking questions and listening to them. And, you know, doing the dig deeper questions. There's a thing with Tony DeCello on here. He talks about doing the dig deeper on the questions. And, that helps you get behind the want of what they really need. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get into the buyer consultation. Let's go back to the PowerPoint. So now we're going to qualify and schedule buyers. Now in your packet, you've got your lead sheet. Buyer consultation. The buyer lead sheet. Have y'all used this at all? The buyer lead sheet. Okay, so this is kind of your script. This is your script that you're going to practice. And this is what you're going to use when you get the phone call or when you're meeting somebody. That's to get them in for a buyer consultation. So when a buyer calls on a property, they say they saw it online or driving by. They have two goals: to eliminate the property or to eliminate you. So when they're calling on a property, they want to see if it has any potential, and if it doesn't, they're going to move on. Or they want to eliminate you because until they're ready to make a move, a lot of time they don't really want to talk to anybody. They don't want to talk to you because maybe they're not quite ready, or they don't want anybody giving them a sales pitch. So we're going to use scripts to find out enough about them to demonstrate your value before they eliminate you.
Which page are you on?
In my book, 21 is the buyer lead sheet in my book. So it's 19, 20, 21.
Section 7.
In the right place. Okay. So they raised their hand, identified themselves as a buyer. So your goal at that point is to see if you can get them in for an appointment. We want to get them in for the buyer consultation. 85% of buyers interview only 1 or 2 agents. So you want to be one of those 1 or 2. And that'll be one that they choose to work with. We want to save them time and money. We want to understand their motivation. We want to help them set realistic expectations, because that's what the successful transaction is about. It's about setting the realistic expectations. Usually what they want is they want information on a property. They're calling about a property. And what you want to do is just to engage them in conversation. See if you can get them, to talk a little bit more and find something that you can connect with them, something you can have in common. So they're calling about a great house. That's a great home. We've had a lot of interest in that property. Now here's a little script that I've seen. It says, I assume since you're contacting me directly that you're not currently working with a buyer agent. So that's a good one.
Where is that? That's great.
That's just me.
Oh, I like that.
Okay. I assume since you're contacting me about this home that you don't have an agent who's representing you in your home purchase. Is that correct? Because if they have an agent, why are they out calling you? They shouldn't be. Because if you've had a buyer consultation, you're telling your buyers, you're doing all of your home searching through me now. So, may I ask you some questions about your home search while I'm getting that information? So, if they're calling about a house, you can start engaging them in a conversation while you're looking it up. I'd love to help you find the perfect home. Now, this is a pretty good script here. You're not always going to use the same thing. It says, my team does things a little differently. We take a consulting approach. That's a Diana Kokoska script. We take a consulting approach. Buying a home is one of the most important financial decisions you'll make in your lifetime. I work specifically with buyers only, and in my experience, buyers like to come in for a brief buyer consultation when we begin the home search process, because it will save them time and money and set them up for success. Does that sound like something that would benefit you? I can meet with you at blank or blank, which is best for you. So we're telling them we're taking a consultant approach. We do things a little differently. We're taking a consultant approach. reminding them buying a home is one of the most important financial decisions you'll ever make. So we're all taking this very seriously. I work with buyers, and in my experience, buyers like to come in for a brief consultation before we start the process because it'll save them time and money and set them up for a successful transaction. So you're telling them how it's going to benefit them, because setting the right expectations sets them up for a great experience. Does that sound like something that would benefit you? I can meet with you at 2 on Thursday or 5 on Friday. So that's a good little script to have. I can. I can do that. I'll get Kayla to make you a copy of that, because that's like just a little 2 pages that I have there. Okay, so you're going to get objections, you always do, but objections are buying signals. But if you can engage them in some conversation and fill out the lead sheet, this is just a good little script for you right here on the lead sheet. Getting their contact information. Do you have an agent who's taking you out to show you any properties? And so what if they say, well, yes, I have. Have you signed a buyer agency agreement with that agent? And if they say no, are you committed to that agent? Maybe, well, no, they just showed me one house, and that was 2 months ago. So you can kind of take it from there. If they say they haven't signed a buyer agency agreement, then you're open. You've got an opening there that you can work with them.
And then if they have signed it, what would you say?
Well, I would say if they said that they've got a signed agency agreement, would it hurt to ask, well, why aren't you working through your agent? Just find out. Because I had somebody the other day that said that they didn't think their agent was fighting for them, which I wasn't really sure what that meant. Then I also found out that that he was not pre-approved because he had some bad credit, and also he was in a lease. So he wasn't really a buyer, and I thought, maybe that's right. So, but if they are in a relationship with another agent, and you can ask them, do you intend to work with that agent? If so, then really you should be calling your agent. Really, because ethically we shouldn't cross that line. If somebody's in an agency agreement, I have people say, well, my agent's on vacation. Can you show me that house? And I said, well, I work with a team of agents, and when we're on vacation or out of town, we always have somebody cover for us. And I'll bet your agent does too. Why don't you call their office? Like if they're why don't you, who's your agent? I ask to find out who it is if I can. I said, I know them. Yeah, they're a great agent, but why don't you just call their office? Call L&T, and I bet they'll have somebody else that can help, because I'm not going to cross that line. Now, I'm not a listing agent. If you're a listing agent and it's your listing, you might want to show it. But I would have a conversation with their agent. Like, well, does your agent know that you're contacting me? Because I can show it to you, but you need to understand that I work for the seller and that I'm working on the seller's behalf, and I would like to know that it's okay with your agent for me to show it. Because if you're the listing agent, it's your goal to get your listing sold, right? And so maybe that wouldn't be a bad thing to do, but I wouldn't want anything to come back on me that, oh, well, you weren't up front with my buyer and they shared information with you that they weren't supposed to share. So you have to handle that delicately. But, and I have told, I told buyers, that said they had another agent, I said, it would not be ethical for me to show that to you because you've got an agency agreement with another agent, and I have to honor that. That's really a line I don't cross, because you're already in a relationship with me, and that wouldn't be ethically right for me to do that. And it wouldn't, So, is there anybody else buying the home with you? That's good to know, just so if you're meeting with somebody, that you're meeting with all the decision makers. If it's a couple, husband and wife, they're both going to be, in most cases, involved. And they might say something like, and my dad's giving us gift money, and he's going to be involved in it too. So, hey, tell Dad to come. If he wants to come, tell Dad to come. Tell Dad to come on the showings, because you don't want to get to have something go under contract, and then Dad comes to the home inspection and everything's bad. You know, these houses they built today, they're no good. You know, you need a 40-year-old house. You know. So, who'll be living in the home, or how many are in your household? That's good to know. Just, you know, that's so you'll know when you're looking at houses. If they say you have 3 kids and they want to see a 2-bedroom house, you might want to know why. Maybe the kids actually don't live there. How long have you been looking? That's a good indication of how serious they are as like an A, B, or C buyer. Because if they say they've been looking for 2 years, that might be a road to go down. Why? Why haven't you found if you've been looking for 2 years, why do you think you haven't found a house yet that meets your criteria? And, you know, depending on what they say, you may decide whether or not you want to work with them. Because maybe you don't want to work with somebody that you're going to show houses to for 2 years and they're not going to buy anything. I'm just curious, why are you moving? Because if you know why they're moving, you know, that's just going to help you to serve them better and to help them find the right house. Are you renting or do you own? That's a very important question. Because if they say they own a home, that can be a whole different conversation. Because if they own a home, do they need to sell their current home before they buy the next home? So you could end up with a listing appointment. If they say yes, then I would say, you know, the first step in your process, if you've got to sell your home first, is to get a market analysis on your home. We can provide for you a free, no obligation market analysis. Come out to your home, just take a quick look through your home and give you a report on what you could expect to sell your home for. Wouldn't that be helpful to you in the home buying process to know what you could sell your home for? So if you could tell them that you're going to do that and it's free and there's no obligation, your buyer consultation may turn into a listing appointment, because I would always suggest doing that first if they've got to sell their home. Because they're really getting the cart before the horse if they're trying to buy and then they, you know, have to sell first. So I would totally put off the buyer consultation until you do the listing appointment. And that could be you or that could be a member of your team. Does that make sense? Okay. So if yes, when's a good time for us to get together so I can give you a free market analysis on your home? So next question, are you going to be paying cash or will you be getting a mortgage? Because if they're getting a mortgage, you know, to say they don't have to buy. I mean, they don't have to sell. Well, and of course there's the rental. Skip that. If they say they're currently renting, are they in a lease? Just so you know when their lease is up. If they say, well, we just signed a new lease, we're on a lease for another year, can you break your lease? Because if they can't break their lease, why are they looking now? You know? And a lot of people are in month-to-month leases, so if they're saying we're not going to buy for another year, if you're busy, that may not be somebody you want to meet with right now. You know, you might want to put them on some kind of drip campaign or something like that to stay in touch with them and put that in your notes. But if they say, well, you know, we'll have to be out by December, say, oh, that's great, because this is the right time to start looking right now, because we could get you closed in a home by, you know, by the time your lease is over. Are you going to pay cash or will you be getting a mortgage for the purchase of your home? Most people are going to say mortgage. And if they say mortgage, have you been pre-approved with a lender? If they say no, well, really that's your first step in the process, is to get pre-approved with a lender. I have a list of great lenders who could help you with that. And again, that's free and that's no obligation. They can give you a free pre-qualification over the phone, and you're not obligated to work with them. You can still shop around if you want to, but at least we'll know where you're at right then. And in your notes in the book, there's some good scripts on that for pre-approval. Let's see. That's on my page 24. Explain the benefits of pre-approval. If they say, well, I want to find a house first, then I'll get pre-approved. Well, you know what? You want to set them up for success, and you want to tell them that, you know, I want to set you up for success to have a great transaction. Some reasons to get pre-approved. then you'll know the right price range. Because you really don't know your price range until you get pre-approved. And, you know, I'm not setting you up for success if we go out and we're looking at houses in the 200,000 price range, and then you find out you're only qualified for 150. See, then nothing looks good at 150 anymore, because you've got the $200,000 house in your brain, and nothing looks good at 150, and you'll be disappointed. And that's the last thing I want, is for you to be disappointed. I want this to be a great experience for you. When you find the house you love, you'll be ready to take action. You know, in this market, buyers have to be pre-qualified at least, because sellers expect it. Sellers will not even consider an offer unless you've been pre-qualified for a loan. Because sometimes you have to tell the buyers to put the seller hat on. Think about this. If you're selling your house, you want to be sure that you are taking your home off the market for somebody who has the ability to buy it. Because if you don't have a pre-qualification, they don't know that you actually have the ability to buy it. And a pre-approval letter makes you like a cash buyer, because the bank is telling them that you've gone through that process of being pre-approved and you can buy the house. So they're more likely to accept an offer from a pre-approved buyer.
I was showing a new property, and the agent asked me, was my buyer pre-approved? And I said, well, yes, or I would be showing it to them, but it was a new property, it was deal. And I thought, well, maybe she was just a new agent or something.
Is that like the model, the agent at the model home?
It was not the model.
Okay. So when you say it's a new property, you mean it's like new on the market?
Deal. It was just deal.
Okay. So is it like in a new home neighborhood where? Okay.
Caleb Creek, I think is the name.
Yeah. What?
But I was just surprised that was the first thing she asked me.
Yeah. Well, I tell you though, in the new home communities, like that might have been D.R. Horton, I don't know, or True Homes.
I don't know. True Homes, I think.
Yeah, I sold one out there recently. See, they've got their own mortgage company too, and they like to push their own mortgage company too. So that is one reason they last. It could be, and they will give benefits to a buyer, like pay closing costs sometimes if you use their lender. So that might have been why she asked in that instance. But getting the pre-approval letter, and you know, the market we're in now, I don't know if you're aware of it, but most of the time you're in multiple offer situations, and if you don't have a pre-approval, you're not in the game. You are not in the game. And another great thing is, you know, unless you're very up on your credit report, a lot of times there are errors on credit reports. And if you go on and get with your lender, you can straighten out any kind of errors that are on your report and get all that done so you're ready to go. Because I've had people that found other people medical bills, you know, collections on their report that were not theirs. And it takes some time to get those things straightened out. So, you know, get that done ahead of time, and then you're ready to go. And, you know, it puts you in the best competitive situation and makes you ready to put in an offer when you find the right house. So, would you like to have one of my lenders call you and help you with pre-approval? What time is this? And I will usually have, you know, I'll say, I'm going to have whoever, I'll have Lou Davis give you a call later today. Is that okay? And I'm going to email you and send her information too, so you can go and look at her website, because a lot of lenders will have them go online and do, you know, like an application online. So that's a good thing to do, and they can see that, you know, Luann's a real legitimate person. She's not some shady character. Okay, so you're going for the appointment. You've gone through your lead sheet there, and that's asking the main questions, and that's are you working with another agent? How long have you been looking is a good question. Are you renting or do you own? And are you going to be paying cash or getting a mortgage? And now if they say cash, that's great. You know, we'll need to get a proof of funds letter or a copy of a bank statement or something like that to show. Because once you put in the offer, you'll have to have that, because they just don't take your word for it. But you've got, you know, $100,000 cash ready. We'll need to have proof of that. And it's good to ask them on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 meaning I have to buy a home as quickly as possible. What would you rate yourself? So that's good information to have, just to see how motivated they are. I'd love to help you buy a home. In order to help you find the perfect home, all we need to do is set an appointment with all the decision makers so I can help you get what you want in the time you want. What's a better time to meet? So then it's just, you go right into the setting the appointment. And I think with first-time home buyers, and there are a lot of them out there, they're a lot easier to get to come into the office because most of the time they know that they need help. They know that they don't know what to do next. And they think, because you're telling them that's the next thing to do, that they think it is. Now, people maybe that have bought homes before, they might not be as ready to come in for the buyer appointment. But, even if it's been a few years, the documents change every year, and we know that because they just changed. They say, even if it's been a few years since you bought a home, things have changed, and there are different things on the contract now that you need to be aware of. We just sit down for a quick consultation, and I can go over that with you because there's different money that you're required to put down because a lot of people, due diligence wasn't even a thing when they bought a house last time, and now it is, and they don't know anything about due diligence and what that entails. So that's another good way to get them in for the buyer consultation. Any questions about that? About getting the appointment, getting people in for the buyer appointment? There's some more scripts. We'll come back and practice that. We'll take a short break. But there's some more scripts for that on 24, 25, and 26. I'll show you one thing. And I've got a little video. It's Movement Mortgage let us make some videos. They came here and just set up their little studio and let us do a video. And I did one. All I really did was Michael Manley's team down in South Carolina. He has a buyer agent. Well, he has several. But Anna Catron, she had a video. And I said, I like her video. I'm just going to do a video just like Anna's. And it's just, it's something that you can send a buyer. And, okay, Movement Mortgage, they've got a new office down in the Charlotte-Mooresville area. And we could do, you could go down there. They've got a studio down there. You could go down there and make a video. Or, you guys are so tech savvy and all. You can take a video of each other and do your own. But they let me do a little video, and I just said, well, that's something you can use and send to a buyer sometime.
I'm Gina Mounts, buyer specialist on Team Wiley. One of the questions that I get asked a lot is, what's the benefit of a buyer consultation meeting? And the simple answer is, it saves you time. We can search through the MLS looking for properties that meet your specific criteria and view only those homes. Then when we're out looking at properties and we come across a home that's not on our list, we know why. It didn't meet those specific needs that we discussed in the beginning. Another great benefit to the buyer consultation is that you get all of your questions answered up front before we ever step out to look at homes. It's a great idea to meet with me first for your buyer consultation. Then you'll have all your questions answered up front and you have the right expectations. Then your home buying experience is sure to be a great one. So contact Movement Mortgage for your pre-approval and we'll be ready for our buyer consultation. Contact me and we can set an appointment right away.
For more information on home loans, visit movementmortgage.com.
So that's like 1 minute. And that's something quick that you could send somebody. They can do that for you. Y'all can do it for each other, I'm sure. But
I like your sweater.
thanks. That's one thing about going to family reunions too. You get to see all this Keller Williams stuff. Name tags and all kinds of blingy name tags and all kinds of good stuff. I'm going to make a copy for you while we take a little break. But, I talked about that one little script I had. Objections, objections are buying signals. It's an opportunity for you to overcome some kind of barrier they're putting up to purchasing. So it's the AEIOU, ask questions, And this is one of Diana Kokoska's things. She says all the time. She says, stay out of judgment and into curiosity. Just ask questions. Can you tell me more about that? Empathize. I understand how you feel. I see your point. I is identify the real issue, restate it, clarify it, rephrase it. O, offer a solution. And U, urge agreement. Don't you agree? Are you comfortable with that? And of course, people are always going to say, can I just see the house? I just want to see the house. I want to meet you. I want to see the house. You know, one thing you can say, and because I've got a couple of things, it's our company policy that we need buyers of office. You should never do anything that makes you feel uncomfortable. And, you know, it's kind of crazy to think, here we are running out to meet a stranger at an empty house. Does that make sense with all the things you read about in the news for your personal safety? Don't ever do anything to compromise your personal safety. If you need to take another agent with you, do that. My husband goes with me on appointments sometimes. You could grab another agent in here, or, you know, just ask, tell them that's, you know, and especially for some home buyers, it doesn't really be different sometimes. We have to meet in the office first. It's our company policy that we meet in the office first. And if you want to take a copy of the driver's license, do it. It's going to save you time and money if you come in here. If we could spend 15 minutes together with a buyer consultation, it's going to save you hours down the road. Don't you like saving time and money? So then you're supposed to nod yes. Set you up for success. It's such an important financial decision. Can we not meet for, you know, it's say 15, 30 minutes just to, you know, just to establish where we go from here, just to kind of set our plans. Does it make sense to spend an hour in a buyer consultation than to waste a lot of hours driving around looking at homes that don't fit your needs? You have an obligation to the sellers too. You know, you have an obligation to the sellers that are leaving their home, taking their pets out, messing up their baby's nap because they're leaving their house so you can come and show the house to somebody. And as a seller, they want to make sure those people are pre-approved and that they're real buyers, that they're not just, you know, those people that have been looking for 2 years. I don't need an agent. I want to work with a listing agent. Ask them to explain. Why do they think that's a good idea? You know, people say, I don't want to work with an agent. Well, you're always going to be working with an agent. You'll just be working with the wrong agent if you're working with a listing agent, because you're working with the agent who's working for the seller. They're not working for you. They're getting the best deal for the seller. They're getting the best terms and price and everything for the seller. They have to tell you material facts. That's true. But there's a lot more to it than just material facts. There's no out-of-pocket cost to you to have a buyer agent. The best thing about a buyer agent is it's free. It's already paid for by the seller. So there's no cost to you to have an agent who's representing your best interests, because the seller's already agreed to pay the commission. So there's no out-of-pocket expense to you. So those are just some good answers. So I'll make a copy of these. We'll take like a 5-minute break. Just
Gina, what's the E? A is as
E was empathize.
empathize.
Mm-hmm. I understand. I know how you feel. I see your point.
Well, one on the two.
Hey, Billy, how are you doing?
Anything
there?
Was the term?
I just want to touch base with you.
Alan's Kate. And it's the same. Yeah, she was Alan Kate. I thought they said bad. Just no. Yeah.
Oh, it's like over. Yes.
I had her.
Targets. Yes, I had 2 designer horseback houses in Florida, and literally like the first one they handed over us. I was like, seriously? Oh, and the second one wasn't like a horse, it was kinfolk. And that one, the leather started to kind of unravel on the heels because I carry a lot of stuff, so it's like so I stopped carrying it on my shoulder, I started carrying it on my arm. So that's hopefully with this bag and the burgundy one. The burgundy one from Target is Nona or some type of one, right? You know what I'm talking about, that and one. Yeah.
I had a body.
I know. Yeah. I was like, not going to spend any more money on bags because like literally I put so much in my bags that they start to break down. It doesn't matter how expensive. So I went to Target. The only thing about that burgundy bag is my zipper. Yeah, it's true because I took it to Hawaii with me, and like I packed so much stuff because I was trying to use it as a carry-on, and yeah, it just like came right on. So I don't zip it. It was only like 40 minutes. Yeah. Do you have a resume profile? Oh, you don't have that. Okay. Is it for you? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like a young take
My friend worked for, she's still with them, I believe, Homeland Security, and so she couldn't have a Facebook or anything, and we talked one night, and she's like, I don't know why I didn't want to. I was like, you could just do like a regular profile and not put pictures up, like you don't have to have and so she ended up setting one up. But yeah, I know you mean like officers, people who work in the government, they can't have those profiles. Yeah. My mom is like that. My brother is like that. He doesn't have all of my mom's like that. I was like, Mom, if you're not on this, you're not going to know what's going on with all their cousins, their sisters in Philadelphia. Like, they're updating their profile like, all the time. They're posting and putting pictures of grandbabies. And she said, well, I have to go. I was like, yeah, but that's the same. So you're going to wait for photographs to come to mail like 2 weeks? Like, you can see them on Facebook. Yeah. Oh, yeah, some things you can't. Yeah, and sometimes I have to, yeah. There are some things you can, like, I check in, like, if I'm at certain restaurants, or, like, because I'm with the husband, or with my girlfriend. But I never say, like, and then even with the open house, like, I make that public because it was a community where the houses are so close together. Like, there are people outside, like, I mean, I could be like, help, and someone would hear me. But there are certain things you do not check in. Like, you never know, so it could be like, great. Do you have people like with an actors setting this up?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like,
your first post should be like, oh my gosh, just so that like that should be the first thing, so people aren't like, what, you know?
For the most part, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Between you and Krista on that, so. Probably not.
Usually by once you get the hang of it, I mean, it really is so easy. It's so simple, it's user friendly, you'll like it. It is, I'm so happy, you know, there's so much. When I went to the post office, I don't even know if I have time today. I just need one freaking stamp. Do you have one?
I don't know. Taylor or Linda.
Oh, excellent. Kayla does it.
Linda, she might have given like one.
Yeah, I'll ask
Seriously,
her.
I think she's done 3.
Okay, thank you. I was just like a vending machine for the whole way. Too. That's how you get it. Yeah. If it gets too hot here, let me know. I turn the fan on, but are you guys cold in here?
Yeah, alright, if you get too hot, let me know.
Who said if you get too hot? Too hot? Good night. In this class over at 12. Yeah. Good. I might not freeze for another hour. That's a cute card.
That is cute.
That's what mine is. It's just really, they're simple. Actually, a new picture.
So that's a professional thing.
That was from one of my old jobs. We were taking a headshot or something, so I needed one quick, and I used that for it.
But in a professional city,
I'm trying to get some more.
I paid 89. She did 23 different pictures for me. And I brought 3 outfits and she picked out what would work best. She's real super sweet. It's Erla Clark's daughter, Heather Rock.
Somebody had just told me about that.
Yeah, she's in Wilkesboro. Yeah, so it was just on the other side of Winston-Salem. It wasn't that far. It's a nice little drive. She does it at her home. I go home. She and it's like I reached out to 2 other people prior and they were like $400. It's like, are you smoking crack?
I can take a picture of myself and hope for the best.
Instagram was better.
Because that's my thing is I have a like a camera, but I've never been so I wonder if I can play around with it and try to escape from it.
well, that price for 23.
No, that's not bad.
It paid 23 for me to pick out one.
Yeah, she had them edited and everything the same day. And she was really great to work with.
Okay, well, let's let you all do some script practice. So take your buyer lead sheet and you can just pair up. And one of you be the agent and one of you be the buyer. This would be the buyer lead sheet that we just talked about. It's in your notes. You start with the buyer consultation pre-qualification questions. So just kind of go through those with the partner, and one of you be the agent, one of you be the buyer, and just ask the questions and answer, just to get you used to asking those questions and answering those questions. So, You and Daniel. The buyer lead sheet. Just go into the buyer lead sheet. Just practice in whenever you be the agent, whenever you be the buyer.
They don't know if it's a work with well, so they okay, so that's so you can actually fit actual tax and then if they say they don't remember, you can say do you remember which firm that is? So you can see the higher conversations stop.
No.
So they don't really sound like they're trying and signing everything together, but
Okay, so right now we'll find that information out later. So that they don't have to pay it, so basically just kind of like our find that information out later. And then I'll ask, is there anybody else buying the home? Okay. So is it going to be okay to have you guys both talk? And how long have you used it So you're ready to go now? Okay, perfect. Just curious, why are you speaking? Okay, yes, that's good. You're on the right track. Are you renting? So you are renting. When is your lease Are you going to be paying with cash or paying I actually have a list of my favorites that you can choose from. There's no obligation to work with them. You can just call them. They usually send you links online. So it's really easy. No obligations. Is that okay? No, I will give you. Oh yeah. So you have those. You guys typically have a lender call or you have it. Okay. So you're not relying on them. Okay, so I'll have a lender call you. Is that okay for me to give them your information?
She's like an email, but I'm just a little bit because they may or may not ever do it, or so. I mean, do you have to rotate or can you send me
I think it's
the buyer? Do you need
I'm just learning like.
Well, I mean, this is like when I went to events.
Oh, yeah.
See, in Florida, I always tell my buyers that they're principals. I have cars. I told my buyers and that works. I was like, basically, I use my bank, I got credit cards, and just use the bank that you currently have. Because you have a bank America account, you can use them as an application. That way, you at least know what you are approved for. And that worked every time. Right. Approval took 30 seconds.
You can get a pre-approval for your credit union. Yeah, if you're trying to get a big bank, take the best way to
When you need to be
it's not like an FHA or EA, but it's what it happens that way, but it's not. So that's how I
I need help with like I sent them a couple, like they had a list of people that you could use, but like no one vetted it. Like I just didn't feel like they were vetted properly. I was like, how do you pick these companies? Basically because I showed up and pitched to the broker and they signed them. I don't know how to use certain companies. So that's how my user big. But if this company is, I mean, I didn't get the information for it all. I don't know my team's that process. Those United States are my
At Fairway?
Oh, yeah, that's Fairway.
Fairway, I use Angela at Fairway. And there's a woman over here, Maria Davis, she's with North South Mortgage in the Mortgage Center.
Yeah,
Chris.
Is it movement that they're here?
They are. Chris Falls. I've used him.
Is that the one that came in that you meeting this week? It was not. Did you? Yeah. Okay, he was talking about that loan that he has for he was so you could call him. It sounded like a good deal.
Cards are right at
You
your
use
table.
movement, like you're familiar with the process they're getting. What's their turnaround like?
Pretty comfortable. Anybody else like 30 days?
Right.
Probably.
He was telling me about really quick. He was pointing. I thought it was right outside of his room. Over here, there's like a board. He said they were really good. I don't know if it's
And if you have movement, they've got, there's a lady in the Greensboro office.
What's her name? Oh, okay. They have someone.
And Chris is there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's get back for our last hour to cover the last material in the course. Is that good? Good practice? Okay. All right. So now you've got the buyer. You've got them to agree to come in to the office and meet with you here. So the last hour we'll talk about what to do once you get them here. So usually I try to meet here at the office. Now I will say, like, there are times, and you may be showing all over the Triad, and you know, like I've got a client, they want to look at houses in Clemens. I'm really not going to tell them to come all the way out here to meet me at the office, and then we go all the way back to Clemens, because I'm thinking they probably, you know, if they live out there, because I'll ask them where they live now, and just say they live out there now. I'm not going to ask them to come all the way here, and then we drive all the way back up there. Not that it's across the world, but you know, I mean, it's just about convenience for them. I'm flexible. I'll meet them at Panera is kind of my place. I meet a lot of people at Panera there at Cloverdale in Western. And I said, well, you know, why don't we meet, you know, if we're going to go look at an Ardmore, let's meet out at the Panera. We can sit down and go over some things on the buyer consultation, and then we'll go out and look at houses, and we'll have appointments set up. So just say you're welcoming them here to the office. Your little establishing rapport. It's the FORD, F-O-R-D, the things you can, your icebreaker talk, family, occupation, recreation, dreams, and that helps you know a little bit more about them. And I'm telling them, you know, the purpose of our meeting. The purpose of our meeting here today is for me to get to know a little bit more about what you're looking for in your home. And my mission is your mission. My goals are your goals. My goal is to help you find the best house at the right price, at least amount of time, and least amount of stress to you. So our consultation today is going to help set the foundation for that. And, you know, Nikki Uvaldini, she has some really good little script about, she explains 3 possible outcomes. 3 things could happen today. One thing is, you could hire me, and that's your embedded command. You could hire me. You could hire me to be your buyer agent, and that would be great. The second outcome is, maybe you wouldn't understand the benefits of having me as your buyer agent, and you wouldn't hire me, and that would not be great. Or I might decide not to work with you as your buyer agent. And she said, then she's silent. And she waits to see what they're going to say. Because they're going to say, why? Why wouldn't you want to work with me? And her answer is, if today in our consultation I discover that I cannot meet your expectations, I would rather let you go now than to disappoint you later. So if I find out that your expectations are such that I cannot meet those expectations, we'll just, you know, we can just end that today, and that will be, you know, the third outcome. So I think that's a pretty good script. So, and, you know, you can just kind of play that by ear, and as you get more comfortable with doing a buyer consultation, you might use that. And, you know, one of the first things you want to do is you're working with real estate agents and explain that to them and get them to sign that. Because it's not a contract, it's not obligating them to anything. Excuse me. I'm required by the Real Estate Commission to share this information with you. I need to explain agency to you. And you just go into a quick explanation. It's not a contract or an agreement. By signing this, you're just acknowledging that I've explained agency to you and that I've given you a copy of this disclosure. Quick explanation is, well, let me share with you that the seller hires an agent to help them with marketing and selling their home. They help present the home and negotiate and take them through the entire selling process, right? That agent only works for the seller. But as a buyer, you have the same rights as the seller. You can have an agent that works exclusively for you, represents your best interests, keep your information confidential, and works solely on your behalf. And the best thing about it is we get the seller to pay the fee, and there's no out-of-pocket expense to you. So how does that sound? So you're kind of setting the stage right there. And, you know, sometimes I will tell buyers, I'll say, the seller pays the fee, right? And, you know, I've shown them on an MLS sheet before. It says, see where it says 3% right here? That's saying that they are willing to pay the buyer agent. When they do their listing agreement, they agree to split that commission between the listing agent and the buying agent. And I'll say, sometimes people ask me, well, if you're getting paid a percentage of the sale, wouldn't that be to your benefit, but the price would be higher? I said, I'm not in this for one transaction. I'm in this for the long run. I'm in this to have repeat and referral business, because most of my business comes from referrals. And I want to do such a great job for you that you would not hesitate to refer me to your family and friends and to use me again if you maybe want to sell this house sometime down the road. So I'm in it to represent you, to get the best price for you, and to help you have a great transaction. So I think that's a pretty good explanation of that you're just not in it for this one commission. You want them to be your client for life. So then we're going to go into the consultation questionnaire, which there's a copy of that in your materials. We'll look at Tony DeCello's little video, because now it's all about them. We're going to talk about them and what their needs and wants are. And he's talking about the digging deeper, which I kind of feel like he sounds like a psychiatrist a little bit, but I might not dig as deep as Tony.
The systematic process of collecting information about needs, wants, and desires that is used to establish and define goals. Step 2 of the buyer consultation is the needs analysis. Only when you understand what is ultimately important to your customers can you deliver it. Many agents ask their clients, "What do you want in a house?" and stop there. They don't realize the answer to that question isn't the same as "What do you need?" or "What's important to you?" Determining your customer's core wants, needs, and values is a process. Draw a line down the middle of a piece of paper and write needs on the left and wants on the right, and use it to track their needs and wants as you go through this process. At this point, you will have a clear understanding of what buyers need versus what they want, but you are not done. Now, you want to drill down and uncover their values by finding out why they need and want what they do. Use this question: what about blank is important to you? Let's see how it works. Say your buyer has told you that they want or need a large yard. You say,
"So what's about a large yard that's important to you?"
Your buyer says, "I like to garden." You ask,
"You like gardening? What's important about gardening?"
Your buyer says, "I like to spend time outdoors. It helps me relax." You ask,
"If you feel relaxed, and what's important about being relaxed?"
Your buyer says, "When I'm relaxed, I can spend more quality time with my wife." Bullseye. A large yard equals family. At this point, you have uncovered a value. You can now look for other ways it applies to your buyer.
A large yard is important because it allows you to spend quality time with your wife, correct? So what else about your new home would be important to you in terms of spending more time with your wife?
Okay. So, we could be here all day in a buyer consultation if we did that on every question. But I think you get the idea. It goes back to that buyers are liars kind of thing, because it's not always that they're liars, but maybe we don't always ask enough questions to really, get to the need behind the want. So that's the point of those questions, like, what exactly do you mean by, what do you get when you have, like, and these are in your notes. What does that do for you? How does that make you feel? Why do you suppose that is? Can you describe to me what that looks like to you? Is that a nice to have feature or a need to have feature? And his, really, why is blank important to you? And my favorite is, really, why is that? Is that why? Want is typically what's expressed. Need is the underlying reason. Now, here's a little example. Like if somebody says, "I want an older home," what does that really mean? It could mean maybe they like antiques. They want a home that looks like it fits within their decor that they already have. It's just beauty and quality for them. Or maybe it means a well-crafted home. Maybe they've been listening to their dad who says, "You don't want to buy one of these new houses. They throw those houses up in 2 months. You want to get an old house because it's constructed better. It's quality construction." So maybe that means value. That means it's I've heard that so many times. Maybe that just means a well-constructed home to them. So that could open up some options if you get there, because if you say, well, I just want to know that it's a good solid house. What if you went in a new neighborhood? Now, I've seen this, and they've got like a cross-section of the wall. They can show you what the construction's like. You can go and see every step of the construction as it goes along. You can get the builder to go in there with you and answer questions for you. Would you feel like your home was well crafted then and well built? Because maybe you can't find an old home that has the big closets and the open kitchen that they want. They might want things that are not compatible. So it's worth asking some questions to find out about things like that. Or maybe that makes them feel safe and secure because it's a home like they grew up in. I was a kid, grew up in a brick rancher, that just says family to me. So maybe it's more like the neighborhood. Maybe they like well-established neighborhoods that have lots of trees and mature landscaping.Maybe it's not so much about the house, but the neighborhood, because I will find that happens, that people will tell you that this is what they want, and then they'll want to see a house that is not exactly what they've described. So that might help you a little bit in understanding more about where their thinking's coming from if you ask some of these questions in the beginning. So don't be afraid to dedicate some time to that discovery process and just, use those follow-up questions to dig deeper and, just listen to them and let them talk and make notes and don't interrupt, let them talk, and always ask permission to take notes, and they'll know you're paying attention and that you're really interested in learning about what they want. And again, like Diana says, and Tony's Diana says, I don't think you know that. Stay out of judgment and into curiosity. Rather than evaluating them, show interest and say, tell me more. So, and always recapping, when they tell you what they want, just kind of recap that and say, is that right? Is that what you're saying? It shows you're listening. And it gives you an opportunity to close, because you could say, okay, so if I were to find that brick rancher with half an acre that's been renovated inside, would you buy that house? You should say yes, right? So that's just the digging deeper and helping them, helping you find out what they want. And your buyer consultation questionnaire that's in your notes, this is a good one to use. I would not probably ask every single question in here, but I'll just go through here and talk about some particular points. It's in your, I guess maybe it's in your scripts. It's in this buyer consultation questionnaire. Should be in there. Lifestyle. Who'll be living in the home? That's important. Are there people that'll be staying over with you on occasion, like parents visiting? Do you need a guest room? Describing their lifestyle. What do they like? What do they enjoy doing at home? Do they like to entertain? Do they need open spaces for entertaining? Do they need outdoor entertaining space? Does your home need to accommodate any special needs? That could be something as well. Pets are a big, big deal because, if you haven't already, you will probably come across a buyer that, a lot of the things in their house or their yard is going to be about their pets. So that's always important to know. Do they need a fenced yard? Do they need a place, it's like we've got to have a place where the dogs can come in from the outside that's not like into the main house where we can wipe off their feet, like a little, mud room, laundry room, something like that. Do you have anything special that needs to be accommodated, such as athletic equipment, fine art, large furniture? Many, many times we go in the bedroom and, oh, this is not big enough. This is not big enough for my king-size bed and my triple dresser and chest of drawers and the big TV that we have to have in here. So those are good things to talk about ahead of time. What would be the minimum size you think on your bedroom that you're going to need? So then when they say, I want to see this house, and they've told you they need a certain size and it's not that size, you can You can bring that. You know, you did notice that that bedroom is only 12 by 15. Is that going to be big enough for your furniture? I had a buyer. She's a friend of mine. She's a single lady, school teacher. She lived in an apartment all her life. She's like, you know, probably about 50 years old, never been a homeowner, and she decided it was time to buy the house. And we looked and we looked. And we had to find a house that fit around her antique corner cabinet. And you'd be surprised how many houses did not have a room that didn't have a door or a window that interfered with the corner cabinet. So we ended up going into a new home neighborhood, and she had a house built in the new home neighborhood. And it was Arden Communities. It's out there. It's kind of close to Ardmore, Peters Creek, that way. And the builder there, he made some modifications on his plan. He had to, in order to fit the corner cabinet. But I said, we built the house around the corner cabinet, Susan. You know that. That's what we had to do. You know, or maybe they've got, you know, this a big huge TV, and there's got to be a big wall in the den somewhere that's going to fit that TV. And, you know, on my friend with the corner cabinet, we also had to have a screen porch with kitty cats. You know? And that was something we had to add on to the plan. So it's very interesting. And I had another family, and they had some cats, but they did not want the cats in the rest of the house. So they had a finished basement, and they had to have a special room for the cats. But we found it. Okay, so a lot of times there's going to be something like that. Location, again, you know, people who live here already usually have a very good idea about their location and where they want to be. Now, if they're coming from out of town and they're new here, they're going to rely a lot more on you to help them understand the community. So you're going to want to, you know, go a lot more in depth with them on what they're looking for in their neighborhood and their community. And they're really going to rely on your knowledge a lot. But, you know, again, they have to go out into the neighborhoods and drive the neighborhoods. And usually people are very willing to do that. And I have people sometimes that, you know, they actually come and rent before they buy because they want to learn a little bit about, you know, the area before they commit to buying a house. And I really understand that. And knowing about their commute times, they need to be near the school, the daycare, those kind of things. And Collegeville is such a great area for those people that one of the couple's going to Winston, one's going to Greensboro, and it's the perfect spot here. Older home, newer home. That's a good question to ask because, you know, usually they are very specific about that because people like newer plans with more open floor plans, big closets, master suite with, you know, the master bath, the garden tub, separate shower. You don't find that a lot in the older houses. And a lot of times they're very specific about, I guess, the yard too. But, you know, everybody seems to want the new house in the old neighborhood. They want all those modern, you know, things in their house. But they want a big yard and they want mature trees. They want the house that was built, you know, 2 or 3 years ago, but they want it to have 20-year-old trees in the yard. And you don't see that a lot in the neighborhoods because builders come in and they tear down all the trees. So, you know, those are compromises that you have to talk to them about. Do you want it in move-in condition or are you willing to do some work? That's very important too. Because if they want it ready to move into, there's probably a lot of houses you won't look at because, I don't know, to me it seems like right now sellers seem to think, I guess because the market is so competitive, that they don't have to do as much to get their house ready and they don't have to make it, you know, spotless and beautiful and everything. But if a lot of people are, if they're willing to do cosmetic things like paint, carpet, that's great. But a lot of times they'll say we don't want to come in and knock down walls and redo bathrooms and that's going to eliminate a lot of houses, and it's going to make your job easier because you can eliminate a lot of things before you even put those on their picks and listing book or whatever. And about their hobbies, that's a good thing to know because, you know, restrictive covenants are very important, and that is something you need to be pulling on your neighborhoods because, you know, I had somebody who had a work truck. He worked for Bojangles, and he had a big old, huge, you know, one of those trucks with all the wheels that had Bojangles on the side of it. And one neighborhood that they liked, they would not allow you to park that in the driveway. It was too big to fit in the garage. And they said the only thing you can do is park it down at the pool. You cannot park it in your driveway. And that's an important thing to know because what would happen if they, you know, bought their house and parked in the driveway and then somebody comes and says, you can't park here. That would not be good. So those are the kind of things you need to know. What are their hobbies? Do they like to work on cars and have cars up on blocks? A lot of neighborhood restrictions say you can't do that. And more, I find people want to have chickens. We want to have a few chickens and fresh eggs. Well, that's great. But a lot of neighborhoods have restrictions against goats and chickens and et cetera, et cetera. Now, some people do it anyway. And I guess if nobody in the neighborhood is opposed to it, that's okay. But, you know, in my neighborhood, it's a very small neighborhood. It's like, who are you going to call? You know, we don't have homeowners dues, and it's like one of my neighbors has chickens, and I don't care. It's not close to me. But, you know, what are you going to do about something like that? But those are important things to know. If they know about it and choose to do it anyway, that is not your problem. But if you get the call saying, why didn't you tell me I couldn't have chickens and goats in this neighborhood? You know, that's not the call you want to get. So always check on the restrictive covenant. In a business, and like looking at, it says in your due diligence, you're looking at, you know, government regulations and those kind of things. What if you want to have a business out of your house? What if this client says, I have an accounting business and I work out of my house and I'm going to stick a sign in my yard and say, Gina's Accounting Service. Maybe you can't do that in that neighborhood. Some places don't allow. I know back when I actually did listings, I had a listing and the buyers, the lady was going to have a bakery out of the basement because it had a nice little basement room and she was going to make it like a little bakery shop. And she read the restricted covenants and she says, well, it says I can't run a business out of my home, so I'm not going to make an offer on this house. I'm like, well, that's true, you can't. You know, I guess if you keep it on the down low, maybe you can, but if somebody takes issue with it, it could, you know, you could be forced to stop doing that. Size of the house, stories, you know, again, if you know why on a lot of things, it could help you with maybe opening up more opportunities. That's the whole thing, because if you're very narrow in your search, you're only going to get a few houses. But if you can ask more questions, you might open up more opportunities for your buyers. Like somebody says, I've got to have a one-level house. I've got to, you know, I don't want to be going up and down steps. But, you know, if you couldn't find a one-level, maybe one that was mostly one-level but had a bonus room over the garage, or maybe even a Cape Cod. It's like, it's a couple, they've got all their living space downstairs, but if they had family over, they've got, you know, 2 bedrooms and a bath upstairs that they could use. So sometimes that opens more opportunities.
I was just going to say, like, from personal experience, the first question I ask after that is, well, what about if the match was on the main? You know, like, that's the key thing. Because then a lot of times they're like, oh, well, if that's there, then, you know, we're fine with that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Exactly. So this city, you're opening up more opportunities. So maybe there's not that many one-level houses, but maybe if you could find a few that just have the master on the main, that might work just as well. So those are, you know, those are important things. And a lot of times, you know, somebody will say, I need 4 bedroom, but you know their family size, and you know that, well, there are really just 4 of them. What are you going to use, you know, the 4th bedroom for? So it's going to be an office, it's a guest room. So maybe 3 bedroom and a bonus would work. Because they'll say, well, actually that would work because we're just going to, you know, we could use that for a guest room and a playroom or whatever. So knowing what they're going to use the rooms for, that opens up more possibilities. Just finding out what they're going to do with the rooms. Just generally what kind of floor plan they like. Do they like open floor plan? Most everybody says that, but there's some people that don't. I've come across some that don't. They say, I don't want everybody walking in and seeing my messy kitchen. I want some separation there. Do they need a separate dining room? Is it eating kitchen okay? So all those questions are on here. That's just going to help you, find the best house for them. Lot size, I've heard people say, I need a big lot. But, if you start asking questions, maybe it's just want privacy, And if they had a privacy fence, even if their lot was small, maybe that would work. Or if they had like a buffer, like, those Leland cypress or something, around where they had privacy. Maybe even if it wasn't a half acre, maybe if it was only a third of an acre, but they had privacy, that might work. And I will say, and I tell buyers this, I say, once we get out looking at houses, that's going to help me more than anything, because then I really want you to tell me what you like and what you don't like. Just don't say, not this one. Tell me what you like and you don't like about it, because that'll help me do a better job for you. And I also tell them, see, during the process, I may tell you, I want you to look for things that you like in the house, but I might tell you about things that you may not like. And so I'm not trying to burst your bubble and, just discourage you from houses that you like, but I just want to point out things that you might not notice. Like I might see a stain on the ceiling and say, well, maybe we should ask about that. Or, there just may be some things in the house that are questionable that we would want to ask about. Like, obviously something's leaked, the upstairs bathroom or something, and we can just ask questions about that. So always let me know your questions, because I can ask questions to the listing agent who can ask the homeowner who can, maybe make that house a possibility for you. And does that make sense? Does that sound good? I mean, you can kind of go through these questions and shorten it a little bit, because they have a lot of questions on here, and I really do shorten it. I think most of the time, as you talk to them on the phone, you can skip some of these because you've already answered some of them. And you can maybe hone in more on the ones that you don't know or the ones you're unclear about. And they may just, find some things on the list that they really want to talk to you about that. So, do you have any questions about that? Yes, I do. Got one more coffee.
Okay, thank you.
The buyer. Okay, so going after talking about what they want, then I go a little bit more into my home buyer packet, and I know y'all have a different one. I've got the oldie goldie, but that's the one I'm kind of comfortable using. So then we're gonna, after the consultation questionnaire, and I do think it's good kind of after all that to say, what's your top 5? We talked about everything you're looking for. Go through and ask what's your top 5 things you need in your house. And when they can tell you that, that is good for you, because once you find a house and it's got those 5 things, you can say, hey, this is our list, and this house meets all those criteria. Right? You want to make an offer on this house. So that's a good thing to do. Ask about their fears and anxieties and uncertainties. And, you can help them address their questions, because, that's what you're there for, to help answer questions and bring their stress level down. So then we're going to talk about the buying process, and I know in your material there is a home buyer packet in there, and it's a good one. I just use the one I've always been using. It's got a guide to buying your home, but it's all about you, that one. So we've already talked about agency and got working with real estate agents signed. These are all basically the same. I might have things in a little bit different order. Just tell them briefly about Keller Williams. I just tell them, you may not know this, but by agent count, we're the #1 company across the nation, and that's a good time to talk about referrals. That you can refer anywhere. I've got a little page about me, sort of about our listing about me. A few client testimonials. Why you need a realtor. Again, a little more about understanding agency. That's a good little chart on understanding agency and the buyer agency agreement. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And this is the little flow chart of the home buying process. I like that a lot. That's kind of that's sort of my guideline on what to talk about. It says, okay, so you're doing great because you've already found the realtor you can trust, which is the first one. We're analyzing your needs. You've already done your pre-qualification or pre-approval. So we're already way down on the list. And we talk about selecting properties. And you can talk about how we look at properties. So it's really your job to educate them on how you're going to look at properties. And this is important because this is why people call you that already have an agent, but they're calling somebody else. So most people I set up on Listing Book. So you can talk about Listing Book. I'm going to set you up with Listing Book account. You and I can, talk back and forth on here. You can put notes on properties. I'll be doing agent picks for you. It's a great tool for us to use to communicate. And I tell them Listing Book is better than any of the other websites out there. It's more up to date. It's more complete. It's going to be better than Zillow and better than Trulia. So I'm going to set you up on Listing Book. Or if you've got some other, search site you want to use, that's fine. Listing Book is my preferred site. But say, any home listed in the triad is going to be here. And it's also, and I can show you any home listed, so there's no need for you to call any other realtors because I've got access to everything. I can get you in every house. So, don't worry about missing anything. Now, there's always for sale by owner. If you come across a for sale by owner, I can sell a for sale by owner. I can get you in to see a for sale by owner. What I need you to do is to get their contact information and get the address, and I'll handle the rest. I will contact them because most for sale by owners will work with a buyer agent, and they will. And a lot of times they've only seen it on Zillow, so I'll find it on Zillow, and usually on Zillow, there's a list of agents, and the last one is usually the owner's phone number. And you can do a tax search, and you can go in the MLS and see a lot of them, there's some information there just from where it's been listed in the past. So you just have to do a little bit more research, and that's what I do. I call up that for sale by owner and say, I'm representing a buyer. They want to see your home. Are you willing to work with an agent and pay 3% commission? And really, most of the time they will. I've had a few that said, well, this is the least amount I can take, and I'll pay commission, but you're going to have to put it on top of that. I'll say, okay, we'll work it out, And you can do that. There's a couple of forms you need to get them to sign. They need to sign working with real estate agents and the unrepresented seller. And if they will sign those things, you can send it through DocLoop and get them to e-sign it, get it back to you, and you can show it just like any other house. Or if you wanted to go, you may have a little different tactic if you want to say, I think I want to list that house. Maybe you want to go out there and actually talk to the seller and get them to sign it in person. Because maybe you're setting it up where you think maybe even if my buyer doesn't like it, maybe I'll have an opportunity to list this house. So that would be a good opportunity for you as well. So you tell them you can work with for sale by owners, just let me contact them. Model homes. You say, if you like new homes, there's lots of new home neighborhoods out here. The new home builders, they love to work with agents, and they do. They come in here all the time. They bring us donuts.
Gina, going back to the for sale by owner, and I only know this because I encountered this when I'm trying to buy a house. What if your buyers they're interested in for sale by owner, you call them as the agent, and they're like, nope, we're not paying your 3%, that's why we're doing for sale by owner. Do you tell your buyers, I'm sorry, I can't show you this? Do you show it to them anyway? What do you do?
Well, you can't ask for sale by owner, if I could get you your bottom line on this, would you do it then? You know, is this price whatever? Is this your bottom price? And if they say yes, well, if I could get you that price, would you sell it? If I could net you, you know, that after commission, would you do it? Would that be okay? You can ask them that. And now they come back and say, well, I've got an appraisal, and that's all it's going to appraise for. So, okay. Thank you. What you can tell your buyers is this particular owner said he will not work with an agent. You would have to pay me out of pocket. We just have to add 3% on there. Now, again, appraisal's going to be an issue, maybe, on that. So you would have to feel pretty confident, I think, that that house would appraise with the price plus the 3% commission. Or if you wanted to do 2.5%, that's up to you. You know, I probably wouldn't do less than 2.5%. And, you know, if there's just no way to work it out, you can say, you know, I love you, but I can't work for free. I'm sorry. You know, and if you want to pursue it on your own, that's totally up to you. I would suggest you have an attorney help you with this, because you need somebody working on your behalf in this, and you know, at least have an attorney look over your documents. That's really hard, because at that point, you know, you're kind of bonded with your clients, and you hate to see somebody take advantage of them, and that can happen in a situation like that. So I would say if you can work it out with, you know, and they probably understand what they don't know, that they need an agent. But, you know, I've had few people that have bought for sale by owners, and, you know, when they sold that house, they called me. So I helped them sell that one and then buy the next one. But there's been a few situations like that. But you just, you know, you do everything you can, but in the end, it's about the buyers getting the house they want. It's about them. It's not about me. But I truly believe that they need somebody to help them. It's not just about me getting the commission. It's about them not being taken advantage of, and, you know, knowing the right things to do. Yeah. So, but that could happen. It certainly could. That's a good question. Okay. So, model homes, tell them, you know, hey, I can help you with any builder. You know, they welcome agents. They ask us to bring our clients out there. So if you're just out looking around, you go in a model home, here's a stack of my cards. Just be sure and tell them that you're working with an agent and give them one of my cards. And if you're interested in that, I'll go back out there with you and I'll talk to the on-site agent at the model there, and you know, we'll work it out. They always need to say they're working with an agent. And usually those on-site agents will ask them. And I say, same thing with open houses. You want to go to open house, feel free to do that. The agent should ask you if you're working with an agent, but volunteer that information, let them know you're working with an agent, give them a card. That way they can follow up with me and see what your interest is in the home. So I think that covers most things where they would be, you know, buying a home without you. The sell by owners, the model homes, you just have to prepare them for that, because people get excited. And, you know, I've heard people say, well, we went to the open house and the agent said she was getting another offer. If we didn't write an offer right now, we probably wouldn't get this house. So we wrote an offer. And, you know, that is unethical for another agent to do that unless they didn't tell them. So you've got to prepare your people to, you know, always tell them that you're being represented by an agent. So tell them how to look for homes. Just explaining the buying process, and telling them, you know, in this market, the inventory is low. And of course that's going to depend on their price range. But the inventory is low. So there may not be a lot of homes for us to look at. And to prepare them, I would say on the average, most people look at between, you know, maybe 8 to 10 homes before they decide. Don't say more than that, even if you're an average buyer, because we want to set them up to think that they're not going to look at that many homes. And I had a young couple, and he said, we want to look at a lot of houses. I'm like, why do you want to look at a lot of houses? I said, if you're looking at a lot of houses, then I'm not really doing my job, because I'm here to save you time and money. And we're going to narrow things down so that we're not looking at things that don't fit your criteria. That's, I'm here to help you find the best of the best. We want to look at the best of the best, because they're going to go quick, and you want to see the best ones first. And we're even in an environment now where I'm thinking even the marginal houses are getting more offers. It's crazy. It's the wild west of real estate. We're making offers like crazy. So you're setting the expectation on how many houses to see. Talk about making an offer, negotiating, and contract close. I want to review the offer with them. I've got a packet, and on your buyer agency agreement, it says you've provided them with a sample copy of an offer to purchase of home inspection brochure, and the professional services. So I'll put all that in there. Working with real estate agents is in there. The buyer agency agreement. I've got a copy of a home warranty in there. You can put any kind of little helpful things in there that you want, but I want to go over briefly the offer to purchase with them, and I tell them, it is a fill-in-the-blank contract. So most of the stuff, you can take it home and read it. I want to go over with you just some of the things that we have to fill in on the offer to purchase. This is actually the old one I'm getting new with. I tell them that a couple of things I want you to be prepared for is the money that you have to put down. There are two checks that you will write before closing as far as this goes. Now, there may be some other things with your lender, like you may have to pay for an appraisal, but as far as like on your contract, there's a due diligence fee and an earnest money fee. And I tell them that, with the contract, we can do everything with e-signatures. I do not have to meet back with you physically to write this offer. Because we're going over it now so you'll know kind of what's on the offer. And then when it comes time to actually write an offer, we can talk about this really over the phone. Now, if they're nervous and they want to sit down and go over it, we can absolutely do that. If we can do it, maybe we're at the house, they know they're going to make an offer, and we'll look over this and talk about how we're going to fill in the blanks on this. Let's say the due diligence fee is one thing that you're going to have to put down in the beginning. So usually we are not exchanging any money until we have a verbal agreement at least. So you don't have to write the check as we're doing the offer, because we may negotiate some different terms from what we put on here in the beginning. But I talk about the due diligence fee. Now I tell them that, I said, because I'm your agent and I'm working on your behalf, I'm going to try to minimize that. I said, usually probably in an average price range, which our average price range is about $180,000. I said, I'm going to probably try to go about $200 or $300 on due diligence. And that's negotiable. The seller might ask for more. And what is that due diligence fee about? It tells you right here in the contract what that due diligence fee is. I said, you're really buying time. The due diligence process is described to you on page 4. I said, you're buying time to investigate the property. It's going to give you the opportunity to get all the knowledge you need about the house you're going to buy. That would be getting a general home inspection, reviewing documents. If there's any HOA documents or restrictive covenants, gives you an opportunity to review documents. Get your homeowner's insurance. Your lender will get an appraisal. If you want a survey of the land, you can do that. Attorneys will tell you that the only way to know the corners of your property is to get your own survey. Zoning and government regulations, like we talked about, if you want to run a home business. Flood insurance. Utilities. If you want to live in a neighborhood that only has where you can have access to gas, natural gas, well, that could be a time to find that out. Streets and roads. Is your street publicly maintained or privately maintained? I've had some people that are looking for houses with land. I've had several that are in places where there's a private road and there's a road maintenance agreement. So when you buy this house, you're agreeing to this road maintenance agreement that you're going to help pay to maintain this road. So those are things you need to know. And fuel tank, because we're very old tanks on this property. So that's their opportunity to investigate the property. And I said, at the end of due diligence, if you are satisfied that you know what you need to know and, you know, we're moving on, then that's when the earnest money comes into play. Because I don't usually do earnest money until the end of due diligence. But I said, say we uncover some things you want repaired. Right down here under repairs, read this bold print. The property is being sold in its current condition. Understand that the seller has no obligation to make any improvements to the property at all. It's being sold as is. We just don't know what as is means right now. We won't know until we do all this investigation. If you're happy with it, you can move forward. If you want to ask the seller to do some repairs, here's your opportunity to do that. And if we can agree on that and move forward, that's when we do the earnest money. Earnest money, as a rule of thumb, is about 1% of the purchase price. And I would say in the price range we're within, probably $1,000 would be sufficient to offer. So I want to talk to them about those things because those are important. They need to know what money they're going to have to put down and when. Talk about that. Closing dates. Any personal property. I have them to read the list of personal property. And I love the way they've got it in the new contract because it's really easy for them to read and see what's included and what's not. So I said, be looking at these things when we're in a house, because if there's something you want that is not on here, that would be, you know, that might be a separate agreement on there. But personal property, we need to put that in the contract, because if it's not in this contract, then it's not, you know, it doesn't exist. We've got to write it in here. And talk to them about property disclosure. We'll get that. You'll have to sign that. Homeowners' dues. I asked them how they want their name to read on the deed, so we're getting them prepared for writing the contract. How do you want your name to be on the deed? Are we going to need to ask for any closing costs? Because if we need to do that, we need to know ahead of time. Because we're going to have to write an offer in a hurry. So that's something you need to ask your lender about. And home warranties. If the seller is not offering a home warranty, you can always ask for a home warranty. Or you can buy your own home warranty after.
So, if you don't ask for a home warranty prior to in the offer purchase contract, can you ask for a home warranty at a later point if you find out something like during due diligence that might be potentially covered by a warranty?
Well, you can always ask for it later. Now, most of these home warranties will tell you that they do not cover pre-existing conditions.
Okay.
So it probably wouldn't
apply to them.
It wouldn't be helpful. But just say, I mean, as far as your negotiation on repairs, if a seller said something like, I'm not doing any repairs now, but I'll buy you a home warranty instead, because sometimes they say things like, I'm not doing any repairs, but if you want, instead of that, we'll pay $500 in closing costs.
Okay.
I've had that happen.
Okay,
so
that's fine.
maybe they do it that way and say, instead of.
So they're like, I mean, I had this client who did the offer of purchase, and but then found that HVAC was older, new compressor, but instead of, so I don't know, just trying to think about what, so might ask the seller to do a home warranty. You could potentially ask the seller.
Right, because I have seen that where home inspectors will say it's functioning, but it's old.
That's basically.
And you just need to put it down in writing in your due diligence agreement that that's going to happen.
Okay.
And I would say research that home warranty, because you don't know, maybe a home warranty is going to exclude heating and air. So just or have the buyer say, maybe you should call, Robbie or whoever and ask her and have her explain that to you. Because sometimes I don't want to be the one in the middle of that. They told me and I'm telling you, why don't you call Robbie and ask her about her home warranty and see if you're comfortable with that. And if she says yes and they can agree to that and that'll make it move on to closing. But yeah, but they need to not just assume that the warranty's going to cover everything there. So we're going to talk about that. Talk about how we're going to, negotiate repairs, and all during this process, the lender is working on the loan, getting the loan ready for closing. And I talked to them a little bit about, when we're ready for closing, we'll get to do a final walkthrough, make sure everything in the house is the same as it was the last time we saw it at inspections or whatever. And you're going to be making sure, and I'm going to be making sure that the lender's going to have everything ready for closing. And they will let you know how much you need to bring to closing. And that, they should have an idea of it by that time anyway. And depending on your attorney, a lot of attorneys want wire transfers. Some will say you can bring certified funds. They just need to be prepared for that. And they need to be prepared that they may not get the keys at closing, because the house is not officially theirs until the deed is recorded. And once we go through the closing process, usually all those loan documents you sign, they go back to the lender. The lender does the final approval, then they fund the loan. And once the loan is funded, the previous deed on the home, the house can be paid off, that deed's canceled, the deed is transferred into the name of the new owner. And attorneys can do that electronically, and at that time, it becomes your home. And you can, at that point, you can get your keys and move in. Be a happy homeowner. So, again, it's about setting the right expectations, so they're not surprised and disappointed. So anything you can do during this buyer consultation to talk to them about getting prepared for the whole process, that's going to be helpful to them and to you. Do you have any questions about that? Hey, Matthew?
Hey, how are you?
Good. And in your in your book, you've got some good scripts here on closing for the buyer agency agreement. So during that time, you have kind of shown them your value on and on my book, it's like page 42, close for the agreement. These are some scripts that you use on closing for the agreement, because you've shown them kind of what your value is through this whole process. So they've got some good scripts in here for y'all to practice. All I ask in exchange for my superior customer service promise is that you agree to work exclusively with me. Does that sound fair? And some good ones, good scripts in here. They got about 4 or 5 for closing. And, one of the objections, I don't want to sign anything. I want to be free to work with other agents. When you engage me as your real estate representative, you give me the tools that I need to represent you. Then I'm obligated to you, I'm obligated to work in your best interest, to not to share your information with the seller. And that way too, when I find out information, I can share it with you. Say I find out something about the seller's motivation, I can share that with you. I want to be your advocate, not theirs. So let's do the right thing, embedded command, and sign the buyer agency agreement. Because technically, if you don't work for the buyer, then you're working for the seller. And what if I change my mind during this 30-day period? So I'm assuming they were saying they were only signing a 30-day agreement. And this is good. I understand completely. Think of our agreement as a form of going steady, or it's like we're engaged. We're not married. It can be broken. If you decide at any time you don't want to go steady anymore, we can just break up. There's no need for a divorce. And you can break up with me if I'm not meeting your expectations. If you feel comfortable with that, you can just okay the agreement with your initials. And I like the listing agent on my team, Melissa. She has a really good script with the seller. She said, really this is a one-day agreement. She said, I have to earn your business every day. Because if I don't, I would ask that you give me an opportunity to make it right. If there's a reason that you want to break our agreement, give me 24 hours to fix it. And if I can't, you're free to terminate this agreement and leave. And I think that's fair. I've talked to buyers who've been in agency agreements with other agents that they could not get out of, and I'm like, I really don't understand that, because, you know, if they just really don't want to work with me, how can that be a good transaction after that? How can you make that happy for everybody? And there's one thing in here about know when to let a buyer go. There is a time to let a buyer go sometimes, you know. And you get that whole conflict of, gosh, I've invested so much time in it now, am I really going to let it go? There is a time sometimes when you have to do that. But, and you know, really the agreement it's with Keller Williams. I'm a sub-agent of Keller Williams, and I told people that too. I said, you know, if you think it's just a personality conflict between the two of us, you know, we got over 200 agents. I know there's somebody else there that you could work with that would, you know, do a great job for you. So that's okay. We can part as friends, and I'll help find another agent that can, you know, be a better fit for you. And I did that on a team we had before. There was one buyer that I just did not click with her, and I could not make her happy, so I transferred her over to one of the other buyer agents on the team. And same thing, he did the same thing. He had somebody that he was not working well with, and I took them over, and we made it work. You know, because sometimes that just happens, and that's okay. You know, I guess it's not personal, but it's really about them. It's about them getting the house they want and having a good transaction. So I think, you know, maybe somebody here could help you with that if you really had a conflict with somebody and you thought, and you could do a referral. You know, you could get a referral fee out of it, maybe. So think about that. Then it's not a total loss, right? And I do put on my buyer agency agreements under, you know, the fee, the additional information. I always write in there that the fee is to be paid by the seller or the listing agent, because if they're one of those people that's going to read every single word in there, and they're going to say, this says I owe you the money. I said, well, that's true, but see, I write in right here that the fee is not paid by you. It's paid by the seller or the listing agent.
So you write that in before you show them. Okay, I had a question. I called Keith about that. I was like, I don't know. So yeah. You write it in.
I just do that. That's in my templates on my buyer agency agreement. I just put that in there for their benefit. So that's takes that objection away, hopefully, before it ever gets voiced. Well, is that helpful, you guys? You think that helps you with your buyer agency? I just think script practice is very, very important. Practicing scripts on your doing your lead sheet, you know, when you're talking to a buyer, doing your needs analysis, and maybe going over some of the objections with the buyer consultation. So practice with your friends and get comfortable with it. And if you can sit in on a buyer consultation, maybe with another agent too, that would be helpful as well. Oh, and you wanted these on a
Matthew's here.
I wanted to introduce the person who brought lunch.
I'm still our new partner. Hey.
I thought you guys would really appreciate lunch today. Number one, you got another class coming up. Number two, it's raining. So I'm wanting to try to look out for you guys. Your best interest is the heart. So while Gina's handling this out, I just want to talk to you guys real quick, briefly. So some exciting news for those that may not know the meeting. I am your new preferred insurance provider. So yay to that relationship. This has been a long time coming. And if nothing else, it underscores the value of perseverance. I've been at this for a while. I've been in the business 18 years almost, and been trying to become a preferred provider here for a few years. So it's good to see that don't give up is the moral story. But wanted to kind of talk to you real briefly about why we do a certain process, why we do this versus that. And what I'm going to talk to you about is lenders. Does anybody in the room here, do they have a preferred lender contact? Okay, is that fair to say? So typically, when you're working with a buyer, would you tell the client, okay, you just go find your own loan and I hope it's good? No, we don't. You refer them to somebody who knows going to take care of your clients, do a good job by them, but basically get it closed on time. All those are important factors. Well, I just want to ask, why is insurance not the same? Because insurance hog ties as many deals that we see
as sometimes some credit issues can do, but yet it's sometimes not so apparent. But I'm the guy who gets the phone calls from your clients on Saturdays, on Sundays, from the realtors on Saturdays and Sundays with a problem or question. So I wanted to kind of talk to you about ways to maybe integrate this into the mix instead of just having the philosophy of saying, oh, insurance, you just go to your car insurance carrier. That's fine, but also integrate, tell them that you have a partner, you have a valued partner, hopefully that can earn your trust and basically at the end of the day work with you guys to have a policy or philosophy to where we kind of partner up and we're just like your lender, part of the team here. And so at the end of the day, what it boils down to is when your client, when you go with a client that goes under contract, just ask them, say, can I have our insurance partner give you a call? Because that's going to be a lot more powerful. It's going to make this relationship much more dynamic than if you say, here's his card. Because what happens is, I'll tell you, I've been at this, like I said, many, many years. Client's going to get your card and they'll say, well, I know that William means well, but I know this girl down the road, she does insurance, and I'm going to get a quote from her. She gets a quote, it's $1,000. She goes to maybe somebody that she works with that's right next door at the office and gets a quote, it's $900. She's not going to get it to me because she says, you know what? It's going to be the same year. And that's where she falls mistakenly short. Because that way we can't tell her our rate is $500 a year. We're over here waving our hands. She doesn't see it because she doesn't come talk to us. So that's why I urge you, when you're working with a client, just make sure that they're integrated with us up front. Because I can't make you guys look good if I don't talk to your client. If there's no communication, it's not happening. Now, it's not just about rate, because I don't want to belabor that point. Rate is important. Rate is powerful. Does anybody in this room want to say that if I could lower your monthly mortgage payment $28 a month, you would want to do that? Well, sure. Well, that's how you can do it with insurance, because taxes is not going anywhere. But you can do that with insurance. But I also prefer to focus on service. If Gina has a question, like an agent in Keller's agent in Burlington had a question about a client yesterday and calls me at 3 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. Is the person that your client that you didn't refer, are they working with somebody that they can access Sunday at 3 o'clock? No, chances are they're not. So very few people put forth the dedication and effort that I provide to be your on-call concierge service. This is done, guys, at no cost to you. I'm free. It's just like, Gina was talking about when you work by, buyers, the seller is the one who's paying it. So at the end of the day, you guys are bringing some value added to the table. Now, let's talk about eligibility real briefly. As people assume that I can go and get insurance anywhere. Wrong. X. It's not happening. Just because you assume, because roof age will prevent problems. Plumbing issues, like certain types of plumbing will prevent a problem. The fact that they don't have their car insurance with us. What in the world? We can't write your homeowner policy. We see it all. So there's a lot of issues that preclude people from buying homeowners insurance. And then they think, oh gosh, what's wrong with this house that you're trying to sell me? Even though the roof is 22 years old. Most companies won't do it because it's over 22 years old. They just look at a number. They don't look at the condition. We look at the condition, not just the number. So at the end of the day, we provide partners. We provide multiple solutions for your client. The magic is that I'm not a magician. The magic is we work with more than one carrier. We have choices and outlets. The carriers we work with are focused on getting your clients the best rates. That's how we do what we do. It's not secret. It's very simple. I'll lastly touch on, if you have a client that says, hey, I'm using Geico, please, above all things, make sure they work with Geico me. Geico 800 is not me. I'm not a mouse. I'm not a computer connection. I'm not somebody at the call center. May I help you? Your call number. No. When your client works with the call center, 3 things happen. They typically pay more, a couple $100 on average per year. They don't have an agent. They don't have a representative like you and me. They have nobody. They're unrepresented. It's like a FISBO. Kind of digs these other guys. And then at the end of the day, if they have a claims question, which happened with the realtor in Burlington as well, where, quite frankly, he has insurance with us. He called to file a claim. He wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with the way it's handled. But heaven forbid, I can get involved and help. If I wasn't there, where would he be? He would be just struggling. I've got 6 inches of water on my hardwood floors throughout my entire house. What do I do? That's where the value of an agent comes in. So that's why, again, call centers, whatever, if it's Geico, anybody call center, make sure they work with somebody you know and trust and you can get physically in touch with. So that being said, I've got lunch out here. It's still hot. I've got notepads with my pen on it, my cell number. Just save your cell number on my cell number on top there. Call me day or night, weekends, holidays. If you need it, call me. Even when I'm at the beach, I'll answer the phone. And then I got a quote form, guys. This is something that is my little easy, quick quote form. What I want to do with this is enable you to be able to fill your client form out and get some quotes for them. Because the client may say, oh, it's too much trouble. It's going to be all this work. This takes 3 minutes to fill out. And then when you can find out, you can save your client $400 a year. It's kind of like, and I'll leave you with this, going to Bill. You've been there, I'm sure. You grab a handful of clothes, you walk up to the counter, and you're expecting to pay $250. And the clerk says, "Thank you. I got this little coupon, 20% off. Would you like me to use it?" You say, "Yes, absolutely." You're that 20% coupon to your client that they didn't know they had money out there on the table. So you be the 20% coupon. I hope that's going to resonate with some of you guys. I've been there and done it. I mean, I went to buy a device at Gander Mountain a couple of years ago, and this was a $500 device, and I got a 20% coupon to do the math. I was appreciative to the guy that saved me $100. So, any questions you guys have real quick? You can answer while we're grabbing out lunch in here, but any questions you guys have? Nobody wants to be the first person? Maybe there's a gift involved? No, just kidding. There's lunch out here, so thanks for your time and attention, and truly let me know, guys, if I can help you now or in the future. Call me, text me, in the meantime. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Chick-fil-A. Just 1 hour for the next night. Yeah.
Question. Sure. I'm looking at being buyer seller agent. What is? I know you're just a buying agent, so I mean, what's the benefit of that versus being a single agent on both?
Well, I tell you, for me, because I just like working with buyers, that I think that's a benefit. Plus, when you're like a buyer agent on a team, you do have to give up part of your commission. You know, there's another split. But I don't have it. My expenses are very low because I'm not
to be on a team.
You do not. No. What you could do is, I guess you could work on like a referral basis. Say if somebody wants to list and you just say, I just don't want to list, you could maybe work out an arrangement with another agent and say, I could give you my listings for a referral fee.
Well, I'm kind of torn because I think what scares me more than anything is the listing part when you have to do the measurements and you have to all this stuff's involved. I've been a real estate paralegal for 20 years.
You've seen a lot, haven't you?
I'm still at the firm that the law firm.
Okay.
Friday, working part-time, and they're going crazy with that because I want to stay, of course. But, you know, I'm thinking back and I'm like, you know, what if I miss something? What if I don't calculate something right? And my husband's like, you'll be fine.
You will.
Look at all the things that are out there that's doing this, and I have confidence that you can do this. I'm like, I know they're going to teach us this, but it's like, oh my God, can I, you know.
Well, you know, there are a lot of agents that just, they would much rather do the listings than not the buyers because they're like, you know, my work is up front. I put it out there, and then I let somebody else sell it, and I can go on and do the next listing. Where buyers, you got to take them out, you got to go again. They're more time consuming for sure. I think, and maybe even more demanding. But I think sellers are pretty demanding.
Right.
But so I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to do some listings and just get somebody here to work through it with you and make sure you're doing the right things. And you might like listings better, but I would say at least try to do a couple. I know. I don't like them either. I feel like sellers are they are so demanding. And buying, I tell you, is usually a happy situation. Sometimes it's not, but probably 90% of the time it is. And selling a home, a lot of times it's not.
Yeah. Well, and what I'm doing now is I do the closing packages and the closings and signing. And so at that point, everything's done. So whenever I started doing this, I was like, my husband's like, well, you can do this. I'm like, yeah, but that's totally different side. Now that I'm into this, like Kate said, you're in front of a water hose, a fire hose. I'm like trying to get out of one thing going into another. So it's just like, I don't know that I can do this.
Yeah.
And I know I can, but just trying to soak it all in.
I know, it's a lot. It's just so much more than when I started. I feel like I've had a lot longer period of time to, learn everything, where now it's like there's so much.
Steps.
And your provisional broker classes and all that stuff. But
I think once I get out of my job completely, I'll feel better, because now I feel like I'm not getting the full advantage of Ignite, because I'm focused on trying to have 9 closings this week that I'm working on part-time, at the office, and emails and all this stuff. So I'm just a bit overwhelmed, but
I think you'll have really good knowledge, though, from.
Then